Nobody told me it was so cold in South Carolina. I always think of warm, beautiful sun. But this is going to keep us awake. This keeps us awake. I want to thank everybody for being here. It's incredible. I heard you went through rainstorms and everything else, and you're freezing your asses off, and
everything.
This crowd is unbelievable. Thank you. Thank you. You know, I just wish the fake news would take those cameras, look at all of them, they just show the crowd. They never do it.
There's like two networks there, Newsmax and RSBN. The fake news is not there, and they're not the fake news. I don't know if Fox is broadcasting this or not. Hi, everybody. I'm your host, your Heavenly Father. Welcome to the first broadcast from the Leaky Leaky Studios here in beautiful downtown Hawaii. If I'm lying, I'm dying. Let's get into it.
They never do it. They don't like to do it. This is really amazing. It's great to be back in this beautiful state. I love this state. We had a big victory, and we actually had an honest vote count. Isn't that nice? We had an honest vote count with thousands of proud, hardworking American patriots. That's what you are. 8 months from now, the people of South Carolina are going to vote to fire the radical Democrats. You're going to elect an incredible slate of true America First Republicans. You're going to re-elect your governor, Henry McMaster. And together we're going to end Nancy Pelosi's political career once and for all. For the past year, we've watched in horror as everything Joe Biden touches turns into a calamity and a total disaster.
Where exactly is Hara? Somewhere in Israel, right?
It's one train wreck after another. He abolished our southern border. Have you ever seen anything?
Not a thing. Nobody abolished the border.
Like it. Millions and millions of people, many of them from jails from other countries, are being dumped into our country.
Not happening. He's going to say 20 million, 30 million, 40. Every time he talks about the immigration, it's more.
He invited them in. He invited her in. He does nothing about it.
He's vitamin in. He's taking all his vitamin in.
He triggered massive inflation. There were more COVID deaths in 2021 than all of 2020.
Have some tequila, have some tequila, have some tequila.
And hospitalization shattered every record, even while Biden imposed illegal mandates all over the place. He ordered the Department
Mandates at the hospitals were illegal. Supreme Court said so.
of Justice to spy on patriotic parents. He crippled American energy. He disgraced our nation with his...
Did not cripple American energies. Oil companies they've got a wealth of oil to drill. They decided to curtail during the COVID pandemic. There's nothing stopping the American oil companies from reaching greater capacity right now. They've done it before. They can do it again. No laws have been passed to curtail their activity.
Humiliating surrender in Afghanistan. There's never been a lower point in the history of our country.
Well, I mean, the Civil War might,
There's never been a lower point in the history of our country.
Well, the Civil War,
Dead soldiers left our people
600,000 dead Americans
behind, $85 billion worth of equipment left behind. Who would even believe a thing like that?
Disabled, we don't.
That could happen.
By the way, much of it was left for the Afghan army that Trump negotiated the deal around of.
And we went 18 months, not one American soldier was killed. I told Abdul, the head of the Taliban, Abdul, don't do it.
Again, he's negotiating with the Taliban.
Don't even think about doing it. 18 months we went. I told it much tougher than that, but I don't want to drive people crazy. I don't want to drive the fake news crazy. But we said it in a strong tone, and we went 18 months. Think of it, 18 months, not one soldier killed. And when you just thought it couldn't get worse, any worse than that, I think that was frankly the lowest point in the history of our country, in my opinion. Joe Biden failed to deter Russia's outrageous invasion of Ukraine. You could take the 5 worst presidents in American history, and put them together, and they would not have done the damage Joe Biden has done in just 13 months.
Well, let's see. You got your Nixon. I mean, that's really inarguable. He's the only president ever to resign. You got your Trump. He attacked the Capitol and tried to overthrow the democracy. How many times has Biden overthrown the democracy so far?
Have a president representing our country at the most important time in history who is physically and mentally challenged. The Russian invasion of Ukraine is a terrible atrocity that should never have been allowed to happen. It would have never happened. I know I speak for everyone here tonight when I say we are praying for the proud people of Ukraine. They are going through hell. They are fighters, and God bless them all. Make no mistake, however, that Russia would not have dared to annex 1 inch of territory if I was in the White House. In fact,
they haven't annexed anything. It's an ongoing invasion. There is no annexation.
Never did it when I was there. A lot of people ask the question, how come they...
A lot of people ask the question, how come Russia invaded Crimea in Obama's second term, and how come Russia invaded Georgia in Bush's second term, and how come Trump never had a second term?
Never did it when Trump was president. And China, he said they knew better. What a nice crowd. Look at that crowd up there. Beautiful. Beautiful. In fact, I stand as the...
Louis, what has Biden done that's bad?
The only president of the 21st century on whose watch Russia did not invade another country, and neither did...
Because you only had the one term. Everybody else had happened during their second term until Biden. Really, Biden serving your second term because you lost.
Anyone else? They knew. Under our administration, we had peace through strength. That's what it was. Our country was safe and the world was calm because America was strong.
We were at war with Afghanistan. America was at war with Afghanistan. Now we're not at war in Afghanistan. No American soldiers are being sent to Afghanistan to die. You could have ended the war in Afghanistan, and you didn't.
And they respected your leadership. And America was always a place that I put, and I put it before everybody else. It was always America first. Very simple. It's very simple.
Very shrimple. Very shrimple.
It was all about America first. It was also about make America great again, but it was about America first because that's how you make it great. We rebuilt the U.S. military with $2.5 trillion that was spent, the largest number ever spent. We had fighter jets.
It's not. It's just not.
That were 40 years old. We had old equipment.
We still have fighter jets that's 40 years old. Louis, no oil has been cut off in public lands. No oil drilling has been cut off in public lands. That's completely wrong. Just no new leases have been issued. But get this, more public land leases have been issued for oil drilling in Obama's first year than in Trump's first year. Look it up. It's there. Printed trillions of dollars causing huge inflation. No, demand, supply and demand is how inflation works. You can't just print more money and then there's inflation. That's not basic economics. Presented a weak president. Well, you're gone. I can't answer the rest.
Broken equipment, everything.
But seriously, in the first year of Biden, we pumped more oil than during the first year of Trump. That's an absolute fact. You can go look it up on the government websites, EIA.
It was brand new, beautiful, and I hate to do it, and I hate to tell you, but our nuclear weapons, I rebuilt them, and we have brand new, and I hate to even...
Yes, under Trump, there were 18 months when no American soldiers died in Afghanistan because he negotiated a surrender. And part of that deal was the Taliban weren't going to kill any soldiers, and they didn't. Meanwhile, he released 5,000 Taliban from prison, including their leader, and many of those Talibanis became part of ISIS-K, which he calls ISIS-X, still hasn't corrected himself. And ISIS-X killed the American soldiers. The Taliban didn't.
Even mention it because the last thing we ever want to use is nuclear weapons, but nobody has what we've built. And our president always says, but Russia is a nuclear power, but so are we. He never says that.
Okay, but if all the nuclear powers use their nuclear power, everybody dies. Everybody.
He never says that. And you never.
Yeah, but Joe Biden knows we're nuclear power. Everybody knows we're nuclear power. Do you think there's some confusion out there? Louis, are you unaware that the United States has nuclear missiles?
Never want to use it, but the way you don't use it is by.
No. Louis, and this is absolutely true. Trump left the Taliban to take care of ISIS in Afghanistan. He said the United States is tired of taking care of terrorism in Afghanistan. The Taliban are going to do it. And what happened? The Taliban didn't take care of the terrorists, and the terrorists, ISIS-K, which he calls ISIS-X, they killed 13 American soldiers and maimed many others and killed many Afghanistan citizens of Afghanistan. But Trump said the Taliban was going to take care of the terrorists. They didn't.
Letting everyone know that we have it bigger and better, stronger than they do.
No, Louis, the 9,000 sites are not missing any context. Many of them have oil in them. You have to explore. There's nothing stopping the oil companies to explore. Let's take the 9,000 leases off the table, okay? They're gone. Look up the capacity in 2019. The oil companies drilled more oil in 2019. Then they cut way back on production in 2020 because of COVID. Nobody was going anywhere. That makes sense. Then they kept production levels low as demand increased. Remember, we had the best economy we've had since Reagan last year, 5.7% growth. That hasn't happened since 1984. Demand increased. The oil companies kept the production low, which brought the profits up, right? The price of oil goes up. The profits go up for the shareholders. You can't blame the oil companies. That's why they exist, to make money for their shareholders. I know there's people in the chat room who have stocks. They understand how it works. The oil companies can drill more. Here, I'll prove it to you. You guys go ahead and watch.
We obliterated the senior ranks of Al-Qaeda. We decimated ISIS. We got rid of ISIS, 100%. We killed al-Baghdadi, the head of ISIS. And we terminated Qasem.
And Biden killed the most recent head of ISIS.
Soleimani. He was responsible for all of those bombs that go off on the road and destroy our people and other people and blow everybody to pieces, losing their legs and losing their arms and losing everything they have. He was responsible for that. We stood up to China and Iran like never before. China paid us hundreds of billions of dollars of tax.
Okay, I have it right here. Let's see if I can show it to you. I'm literally not at home right now. This is not my studio, so I want to make sure you guys can see this. Bear with me, sir. This is EIA. This is the U.S. Energy Information Agency. These are the stats on oil, okay? Now I'm going to try and zoom in. If I was on my regular system, I could do this very easily. Well, I can't zoom in. Hopefully you guys can see this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Let me grab another, how can I do this? Give me just a second. I will do this, and I will show you that the oil companies are capable of drilling more oil. Hold on. I'm going to do the Quaker Roads thing for a second. Here we go. And give me a second here. We're going to zoom in on this. We're just going to zoom in. Going to take a second here. Bear with me, folks. Sorry about this. It's just, I mean, this is stupid simple. Can the oil companies drill more? No, Biden's stopping them. Hold on. Can the oil companies drill more? We're going to take a look at it. We are just going to take a look at it for Louis here. Louis, I don't think that you're a bad person. I think that you're misinformed, horribly misinformed. Here we go. Let me go over here. Hopefully you guys can see that. Hopefully it's big enough for you. Okay. U.S. oil production in February of 2020, right before the pandemic hit, 12,826,000 barrels a day. Okay. Here we are here. And by the way, that is right about the point that the U.S. actually started exporting more than we imported. We weren't energy independent. That's factually incorrect because we were still importing a lot of barrels of oils, just not as many, okay, as we were exporting. So we are capable. We know this factually. The oil companies can drill for almost 13,000 barrels of oil a day, but they're not. In December, they only drilled 11.5. Okay, do you see how that works? This is how much we're capable of drilling. This is how much the oil companies are actually drilling, and that has absolutely nothing to do with Biden. And again, let's go back. Let's go back to Trump's first year in office. Here's 2016. He wasn't elected yet. He actually gets elected in November. 2017. Let's just take August. 9,500. That's Trump's first year in office. Here's Biden's first year in office. 11.5, 11.5. You see how that works? We are drilling more under Biden than we did during the beginning of Trump's presidency. Nothing's stopping these people. Anyway, that's enough about that. Let's get back to the speech here. Louis, so basically what I'm saying is you're being lied to. You're in a bubble where you're being given misinformation. Maybe you watch Fox News. Maybe you watch some of the other channels. I just showed you empirically how you're incorrect. Now, if you can find me a law, like a signed letter from Joe Biden saying oil companies aren't allowed to drill anymore, let me know. It doesn't exist. I'll save you some time.
Taxes and tariffs while I was president. Before I was president, they never paid us 10 cents. And Iran was ready to make a deal. They were done. They had nothing.
Louis says oil companies are capable of drilling oil. Well, if they are, then I'm hungry, damn it. Bring it on. How does broil taste? However, you have a hostile administration that is going against the banks giving loans to oil companies. No, the oil companies are all taking in huge profits. That's ridiculous to say. Okay, so let's say Exxon made, I think it's 15 billion last year. 15 billion coming out. Profit. How many of those 9,000 wells do you think you can explore? Not just wells, but leases. How many of those 9,000 leases can you explore with $15 billion? I'll give you a hint. It's greater than zero.
They were ready to make a deal. If the election weren't rigged, we would have had a deal within 2 weeks.
Hostile work environment? Biden has created a hostile work environment for the oil companies. Oh, those poor snowflakes. Louis, I love you. You are hilarious.
Of the election. We made clear that we had to make it clear that any adversary who threatened our people did so at their own peril. And
right, that's still the case.
Interestingly, we built such a strong military. We had such great people.
Still got that same military.
Such great people. You know, we have great generals. When I knocked out ISIS and other things that we did.
Okay, yes, oil companies can drill more. You are correct, Louis. Thank you very much.
Remember we took the shot when President Obama said, don't ever go across the red line. When they went across the red line, nothing happened. But when I got in, something happened. 59 missiles shot right down their throat in Syria.
Which he called Iraq in an interview with Maria Bartiromo.
And the Russians were...
And meanwhile, he was talking about the most beautiful piece of chocolate cake. It had 5 layers.
Right next door in their barracks, they sort of started running pretty fast. 59 missiles, you remember that? And I was having dinner with President Xi of China. And I said, President, I'd like to tell you something. What is it? What is it?
That's how he said it at the table. President! By the way, they shared classified information at the table with the Chinese. You know, the people who are now our enemy, apparently, if you watch Fox News.
Is it? And through his interpreter, he didn't speak English. I didn't think he spoke English at all. It's a story I think I've never told a big crowd like this, but...
No, he hasn't, actually. This is going to be good. I could use some almond milk if you're offering, Producer Jojo.
I didn't think he spoke English because he wouldn't even say hello. We had a very good relationship until COVID, and then I said, forget it, COVID. That was a step too far, but we did. We respected each other.
Louis, we're still a net exporter of energy.
We respected each other, but I said, President, we were eating chocolate cake at Mar-a-Lago. Most beautiful chocolate cake.
There it is. There's the most beautiful chocolate cake. That's the important part of the story for Trump.
And they were very close in some form to Syria. I said, President, late at night. I want to let you know something. To Syria, I said, President, late at night. Very close in some form to Syria. I said, President, late at night.
Who is President Clay tonight?
I want to let you know something.
I gotta put on my headphones. Flurry McFlurson here is going to town. Hold on a second. There we go. Why are the oil companies not drilling? Well, they're starting to drill more now. It's because it's an algorithm that decides how much profit they can make based on demand. That's why they exist. That's the free market. If you don't like it, you're in the wrong country.
I have to tell you, not that you go back to your beautiful room and say, he never even told me that. We just shot 59 missiles into Syria, and he said, without his interpreter, repeat. I said, he just said repeat. I didn't think he spoke English. These are very smart people we're dealing with.
I didn't think he spoke English.
You know, we have somebody that's not at the top of his game, never was actually, and these people are at the
Louis, I never said you were an alcoholic. I don't know where you got that from. Thank you.
Top of their game. But he said, repeat. I said, you got to be kidding. So he knew everything we were saying. So don't talk behind their back. Under my leadership, America was feared by our enemies, and we were respected by all. The fake news, they are fake. The fake news said You know,
there's one person trying to get a CNN sucks chant going.
When I first started in politics, I have to say that they had a very high approval rating. Now they have an approval rating that's lower than Congress. Isn't that nice?
The CNN? There's approval ratings for CNN?
So we got the point across. The fake news said my personality would get us into a war. I'm telling you, that guy's going to get us into a war. But actually, my personality is what kept us out of war. I was the only president in nearly 4 decades who did not get America into any new conflicts. Instead,
Well, you did bomb Syria, and you bombed Iraq. So those are two things. Those are two conflicts.
Brought our troops and our wonderful children.
And then Iran fired back for your bombing in Iraq because you attacked al-Soleimani and killed him. And so they fired on our soldiers, and our soldiers suffered injuries. And you said that they were just headaches and they'd be fine. And it turns out that they were brain injuries.
Children back home. I brought them back home where they belong. Under Joe Biden, America is neither feared nor respected. There has never been a time where our country has been treated the way it is right now. Other countries are lecturing us and telling us what to do.
Well, I mean, there was that whole kerfuffle with 1776 after we declared our independence, and Britain didn't take kindly to it. Oh, and then there was that time that Britain attacked us in 1812 because we tried to invade Canada. And then they burned down the White House. Do you remember that? That was good times too. But I think that was more respectful than no one attacking us currently.
And that's why we are seeing chaos and mayhem and bloodshed all over the world. Never been a time like it. Meanwhile, you have warmongers like this crazy...
I mean, we're not in a world war currently.
Liz Cheney, she's a nut job. And
Okay.
Adam
Kinzinger, and then what about Adam Schiff? You going to go on to Adam Schiff and his pencil neck?
Kinzinger, you ever see him? He gets on television, he cries all the time. He starts crying, I don't know.
No.
Governor, is that an actor or is he serious? He's crying all the time. We call him Crying Adam Kinzinger.
Really? That's what we call him?
And the other neocons who have never found a war that they did not want. And by the way, we got everything we wanted. We didn't have to go to war. They don't mind our soldiers and other people and other soldiers from other countries dying. They don't think about that. In the name of democracy, they destroyed Syria, Libya, Iraq, and Afghanistan. I brought our soldiers back home, leaving a trail of devastation and suffering.
Can you put the title of the article in the chat, please, Louis? Because I don't know what I'm sure that you're referring to. Trying to stop drilling on federal lands, but only new leases. But new leases are still being given out. So
Rarely has the world seen anything like it. And remember that with Ukraine, I sent the javelins that you see are so effective against the
remember, he tried to stop the javelins, but he had no choice. Congress had already allocated those weapons to Ukraine. People say, "Oh, I gave them the javelin." No, he tried to stop the javelins, and then it turned out he didn't have the power to do that, so Ukraine got the javelins.
tanks. Biden didn't, and in fact, he ended.
No, Biden sent them javelins as well. Biden has allocated more than $1 million of weapons to the Ukraine, to Ukraine since September. $1 billion.
Our last order.
Billion with a T.
Probably it'll get there because everyone realized it was the right thing to do. And Obama, remember Obama, Biden, they sent blankets. I sent javelins.
They didn't. They sent defensive weaponry. They sent armored cars. They sent battle vests. They sent night vision goggles. They didn't just send some blankets and pillows.
And they sent, well, you know what the javelins are? The anti-tank weapons. They knocked the hell out of those tanks. And Ukraine wouldn't be having a chance without them. That was all sent by me, all of it. We sent other military equipment, too. We didn't send our soldiers, but we sent them a lot of equipment. Well, we need to help stop this brutal invasion. We also have to clean out the rot of our failed foreign policy establishment. It is indeed rotten to the core before these total lunatics lead us down the path of national ruin and World War III. They will do it, too. We have to continue to drain the swamp. We did a lot of it, but the swamp was deep, deeper than anybody believed. Despite all of Biden's weakness, cowardice, and incompetence.
Hold on just a second. Thank you, Louis, for sending me the title of the article. I found it on CNBC. Biden's order directs the Secretary of the Interior Department to halt new oil and natural gas leases on public lands and waters and begin a thorough review of existing permits for fossil fuel development. That's exactly what I said. He's done nothing to inhibit the current number of leases out there or to stop anyone from drilling on land that they can already drill on. He's nothing. So anyway, yes, that is correct, and that is what I said.
There is still a path for him to end this tragedy in Ukraine without getting him. There is still a path for him to end this tragedy in Ukraine.
There's still a path for him to end the strategies, everybody. He can end the strategies. He can end Strategigo. He can end Risk, Monopoly, snakes and the snakes. You knew I was a snake when you took me in, lady. Oh.
Without getting Americans snared in a gruesome and very bloody war, a bloody war. This could lead, by the way, to World War III. I see what's happening. Because if you think Putin...
Yeah, it could. That's why we're not sending in the aircraft.
Putin's going to stop. It's going to get worse and worse. He's not going to accept it. And we don't have anybody to talk to him. You had somebody to talk to him with me. Nobody was ever tougher on Russia than me. I'm the one that stopped.
He tried to get the Russian sanctions taken off. Yeah, it's totally tough. He said in front of Putin in Helsinki that he couldn't think of a reason why Putin would lie and that the American intelligence agencies would be right.
The pipeline, I had it stopped. I'm the one that put all the sanctions on. And I'm the one that he didn't attack during our administration.
He hasn't attacked Biden.
Everyone's asking about that now, even the radical left reporters up there. The U.S. must make clear to Putin that he has two choices: to negotiate peace right now or else.
I have a question, though. If he's so great, if he kept the world at peace during his time in office, why didn't he try and win a second term?
Face blistering consequences, including a push to permanently eliminate dependence on Russian energy. And we're talking about forever or for a long, long time. Because without the money coming in from energy, Russia doesn't work. But to make...
That is mostly correct. And here's the thing: if we were a green energy company and producing all of that energy sustainably within this country, then it wouldn't be an issue. Same thing goes for Europe. That's why they're trying to get off the oil energy standard.
Make this threat credible. The U.
Okay, it was no. Yeah, Louis, you've got your facts wrong there. It was $1 billion of aid, and it was from the World Bank. It wasn't taxpayer money. It wasn't our money. It was just the loan guarantee. The United States was going to be part of 79, 83 countries. I forget the exact number, but it was $1 billion. And the problem was the prosecutor wasn't investigating. You've got it all backwards. So you can go look that up, and you'll see just right away. It's not $5 billion; it's $1 billion, and it was money from the International Monetary Fund, the IMF. And it wasn't American taxpayer money. We were just one of the loan guarantors. Okay? So, again, you're hearing sound bits, but you're not really digesting the truth. So, again, whatever news sources you're watching, find other sources.
U.S. would have to immediately end Biden's ridiculous war on American energy. We were energy independent.
We were not energy independent. We were still importing energy.
It's very simple. We have to get our great energy workers drilling, pumping, producing, mining, and refining like never before.
Right. So coal miners, remember Trump said he was going to save coal. There were fewer coal miners at the end of his term than at the beginning. Lost a ton of jobs in the coal industry. Why? Because it's cheaper not to have the miners. It's cheaper to use natural gas. Coal plants are shutting down. It's just economics. Why are the oil companies drilling less than in 2019? Well, ask Trump in 2020. The lack of demand. It's just economics. It has nothing to do with it.
We have to do that.
No, Louis, we only make fun of the way Trump speaks because he makes fun of Biden. Biden does not make fun of it the way anybody else speaks.
Some of them are sitting right back here. That's a nice looking group. You know, they all become famous. Here's the thing. You have a better location, but they're going to become famous. You know why? They're on television. You have a better
They're not going to become famous.
location, but they're going to become famous. So what can I tell you? Because those faces, those beautiful faces, are all.
Yeah, Trump withheld his visit. Lindsay's absolutely correct. Trump withheld his visit, the Zelensky visit, which then legitimizes a leader in the world stage. Meanwhile, he was having summits with Dennis Rodman and the guy in North Korea, which is exactly what the guy in North Korea wanted. But Zelensky, a guy, as it turns out, seems to be a pretty damn good guy. Hard to argue with that. A guy defending his country, a true patriot. A guy that refused to kowtow to Trump's whims and tell falsehoods about an investigation that wasn't happening. That guy, he couldn't get a meeting with Trump. But Kim Jong-un, yeah, we're going to go to North Korea and step across, take a picture, and put that picture up in Mar-a-Lago.
All on television. Thank you.
They're chanting, "We love Trump." And he might go off. Sometimes he goes off on, "This has never happened for a politician before."
But it is true. I'll tell you, you know, over there, we've had a lot of speeches. And we always have the biggest crowds. By the way, the biggest
Finish your sentence.
crowds ever, no politician, nobody's ever. You know what? Honestly, Elvis doesn't have crowds. We bring.
Elvis doesn't have cuss.
Nobody's ever. You know what? Honestly, Elvis doesn't have crowds. We bring.
Oh, Elvis doesn't have crowds. And he's absolutely correct there. Elvis doesn't have crowds right now.
We break Elvis's records. We were in Texas 2 weeks ago in Texas, 87,000 people at the State Fair.
What? That we watched the State Fair. If there were 5,000 people there, I would be surprised. We counted, remember? The back section was 21 rows deep. That's it.
87,000. They turned away 50,000 people, and the head of the fair, an old guy, wonderful guy, came up.
Hey, Stephanie, there's no reason to insult Louis. Louis just said he's got a Tesla or something, and it went too fast. I couldn't read it, Louis. I'm sorry. But let's not get into personal insults here, guys.
To me, he said, "You know, sir, I never thought I'd see it."
Louis seems like he's trying. He's just misinformed.
What? You broke Elvis Presley's record. And I said, you know what I said to him? Yeah, and I didn't have a guitar. It's easy. I'm just up here by myself, but it's true. So these people in back, so sometimes I'll be making a speech.
He does not have a guitar. That is true.
And I'll go home and I'll check it out on television because I'll say, like, I wonder how it looks. And there'll be somebody in the audience behind us that's so stunning, that's so handsome or beautiful.
No, the prosecutor wasn't investing Hunter Biden, Louis. And it was, there was a video of Biden saying that. Yeah, absolutely. It's about a loan guarantee. It's not about taxpayer money. And they wanted to fire the prosecutor because he wasn't doing his job. And it wasn't just the United States. You think that Joe Biden, as vice president, got all the countries in the IMF to demand that he was fired?
Handsome or beautiful?
Hold on. This has been investigated. Go up. There's an 83-page report from Chuck Grassley and Ron Johnson in the Senate. They're both Republicans. They investigated this and found no wrongdoing.
That you cannot take your mind or your eyes off that person. And you know that sometimes Hollywood calls those people. So we've made a lot of really great stars sitting there. We've never made a star.
Right. But listen to what Biden says. He brags about getting the prosecutor fired because the prosecutor wasn't doing their job.
Out here, but they've enjoyed the speeches very much. So just, that's the way life works, isn't it? Just think of it, though. Joe Biden is the president of the most energy-rich...
Whoa. He's the president. This is new.
...country on the planet. You are right about that, by the way, sir.
You'd have to classify what type of energy to which he's referring.
Yet, because of his party's climate hysteria, what they believe on the climate... Biden locked down American oil and natural gas production.
He didn't.
And now Biden is crawling around the globe on his knees, begging and pleading for mercy from Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Venezuela. You know what they don't understand. So we all want clean air. We all want all of the things that they talk about. The Green New Deal. The woman that thought of...
We're not even the country with the most oil. We don't have the most oil reserves. That's Venezuela. And then Saudi Arabia, Canada, Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, UAE. Who else is up there? I'm reading a list here. Russia, Libya, Nigeria. Number 11. We have the 11th most oil. So in terms of the most oil, not really sure what he's referring to, but it doesn't matter because Biden's not crawling on his knees to OPEC.
Of the Green New Deal.
Remember, Trump with OPEC made it possible for the Russian economy to recover. He was part of the negotiation so that Saudi Arabia wouldn't drown the markets, which would keep the energy prices up for American companies. And that's good for American companies if you happen to be in the oil industry. But it also allowed Russia. See, Saudi Arabia was at war with Russia in terms of the oil markets. So they wanted to cripple Russia by overproducing. And Trump was part of the conglomerate that convinced them not to and made guarantees. Anyway, He helped out Putin enormously because, again, Putin's economy depends 47% on oil production.
Didn't even go to a college to study it. She made it up. By the way, it was 12 years. We're down to 7.
What?
7 years. The world is going to be destroyed because the oceans are going to rise.
It won't. I mean, that's not what anybody said.
1/100th of an inch within the next 300 years. It's going to kill everybody. It's going to create more oceanfront property. That's what it's going to do.
No, it would do the opposite. Even if it just raised itself 1/100th of an inch, that lessens the land. That is less oceanfront property. What a moron.
No, they say over the next 300 years, the oceans will rise about this much. But you know, the real threat we have is the nuclear threat. That's going to be the global warming, and we can't let that ever happen. The nuclear threat. That's the real global warming that nobody ever
What does that mean? He thinks that the world's going to be warmed by nuclear weapons?
talks about. The
People talk about nuclear weapons all the time. That's all we've been talking about for the last 2 weeks.
lunatics on the left, the global radicals. These are global environmental radicals. They never talk about it. To tap into.
They talk about nuclear power all the time, both weapons and nuclear. I mean, what's happening right now in Ukraine with Russia taking over Chernobyl?
Iranian oil. Biden is betraying Israel by racing to sign a new Iran nuclear deal. Remember, I terminated it because it was so pathetic.
And then Iran went right back to starting to produce a nuclear weapon.
He gave them billions. I gave them hundreds of billions of dollars for nothing.
He gave them hundreds of billions of dollars? What?
He gave them billions. I gave them hundreds of billions of dollars.
Did he just say, I gave them hundreds of billions of dollars?
He gave them billions. I gave them hundreds of billions of dollars.
Okay.
For nothing. For a bad deal. It was a path to nuclear weapons.
Well, no, that's not connected at all. That was Iran's money that they gave us in the late 1970s, and then it stayed here. We never gave them the weapons that they bought because the Shah was overthrown. But that was Iran's money.
And the new deal that they're negotiating.
So does he think he gave Iran billions?
And you know who's negotiating?
He's not right.
China and Russia is representing us.
They're not representing us. They're part of the group of nations that's involved in the negotiation with a rogue nation. That's what happened before. That's what will happen again. There are 5 countries on the UN Security Council with veto power. Russia and China are amongst the 5. This is the way it's been for almost 100 years now.
China and Russia. Did you see Kerry the other day on television? Here we are. Everyone's dying for energy. Your prices are going up. Your fuel tanks are costing you 4 or 5 times more. And some they can't get fuel. And he's saying, no,
Wait, has anybody not been able to get fuel?
This is a good time to be promoting windmills. This is a good time to be
He wouldn't have said windmills. It's wind turbines.
Promoting the green agenda. I tell you what, your great governor isn't promoting it. He's promoting.
Hey, oil is too expensive. What about green energy? What? Wait, the correct response would be, oh, tell me more about this green energy. It's produced here in the United States. It's renewable, and it'll be cheaper once we get on that standard, and we won't have to rely on foreign oil ever again? No. Let's attack it.
Inexpensive gasoline for your cars.
Inexpensive electricity for your car. Put up some solar panels. I mean, Louis knows.
Of gasoline. And he's also an environmentalist, I have to tell you. Henry, we love you, Henry. Henry, I hear you have like no opposition. You better not have. You better not.
Or you're going to lose.
Any Republican that goes after Henry.
Remember, Trump lost to the worst politician ever to run. That's what he said. That's what he called Joe Biden, and said that if he lost, you would never hear from him again.
I'm going after that Republican, okay, Henry? Nobody's so stupid. He's also selling out the brave people of Cuba and Venezuela.
I hate it when he sews out people. He puts a giant patch on the border, and no one can get through it.
As well.
That's why they call Florida the I can't think of what they're called. What are the things that professors wear, the elbow patches? There's a name for them.
Groveling at the feet of the oil-rich and brutal Maduro regime. They're after Maduro, and now all of a sudden they say, listen.
I had to take a second to read that. Oil-rich and brutal Maduro regime.
Forget that. Forget what we've been saying for the last long time.
The last long time. I tell him, I say it every single sometimes. I say, the brutal Maduro regime.
And the man, the gentleman that preceded him.
Isn't there a name for them besides elbow patches?
Forget the last 15 years. We'd like to buy oil. And we'd pay you any price you want. Please, please, please sell us some oil. Please sell us some oil. We don't have any oil.
God, that's the best impersonation of Biden.
He must think we are the...
Please sell us some oil. We don't have any oil.
stupidest people on earth, you know. And his oil's no good. It's very heavy. You got to put it through the ringer to get oil out of it. We have the best oil in the world. It's sitting right. I call it liquid gold. And we don't want to take it from us. You know, it's a big advantage
I call it Texas tea.
we have over China.
First thing you know, Jed's under there. Skin folks said, move rumor from there. They said California is the place he ought to be, so he loaded up the truck and he moved to Beverly.
We have oil. They don't. We have natural gas. They don't. We have coal. They don't. The entire world is laughing at the United States. This is to be the most pathetic
They are.
spectacle that anyone's seen. Nobody's ever seen anything like that. And Elon Musk, who's a guy that I like and respect, friend of mine, he runs an electric car company, is calling for Biden to increase oil and gas production. But Biden won't do it because he does not have.
Because Biden does not have the power to do it. In this country, the president cannot tell the oil companies to drill more. That's called socialism.
Have the will to stand up to AOC. You know AOC, we call AOC.
Do you call her AOC? Well, that's unique. That's a really cool nickname. Hopefully it'll catch on. You've really started something there, Trump.
I don't think she ever took a course on the environment, and now she's saying, we got 12 years, we're down to 7. I call it AOC.
What? 12 years without what?
On the environment, and now she's saying, we got 12 years, we're down to 7.
Oh, we're down to 7 is what he's slurring. Okay.
I call it AOC plus 3. You ever see her people? Omar, the whole group. AOC plus 3. And the radical left.
You can just call him the squad. It's a name that's sticking.
Under my administration, we had a very different energy policy. America, energy independence, and America, energy dominance. We were dominant. We were dominant. Think of it. A year and a half ago, we were dominant.
A year and a half ago, we were in the middle of COVID and nobody went anywhere.
The good news is I used to say.
Yeah? The good news is you used to say it, so you don't say it anymore?
4 years is a long time. Now we're down to 2.5 years. We have a big election coming up in just a matter of months. It's incredible. I approve.
It's not that incredible. It happens every 2 years.
The Keystone XL and Dakota Access pipelines. I withdrew from the one-sided Paris Accord, which was another ripoff of our country.
It was one-sided because it was every single nation on the planet. So a circle is one-sided, really, when you think about it. He's correct.
Don't worry, they're putting them back. I canceled the so-called Clean Power Plan. Sounds great, except it's a disaster and very expensive for our country. Doesn't do anything. We unlocked the vast lands for energy development. We opened ANWR. You know what ANWR
Oh, wait, what happened with Marcy? Something's going on with Marcy here, guys. I missed it.
is? The biggest site anywhere in the world for drilling, probably bigger than Saudi Arabia. Ronald Reagan tried to get it approved. He couldn't. Everybody tried to get it approved.
So he snuck it into a tax plan.
Got it done. And
that is called pork, by the way, what he refers to as the swamp.
in one day, Biden had it wiped out. This is in Alaska. Lisa Murkowski did a horrible job.
Lisa?
For the people in Alaska. And in fact, right now, I feel I'm in Alaska because it's cold as hell out here.
That's actually a nice reference. I appreciate that.
But Lisa Murkowski.
Yeah, right now, it seems as if Iran has sent, we don't know if it was Iran, but missiles have hit the American consulate in Iran. Those are initial reports. Iraq, excuse me. So we can take a look at that if you guys want to, if you prefer to duck out of this and come back to it.
Murkowski, it's actually not that bad. Lisa Murkowski did a terrible job, but we had ANWR approved, probably the biggest drilling site anywhere in the world, energy, jobs, everything great for Alaska and for our country. And they ended it very quickly in one day. In one day, it was gone. The United.
It wasn't, but okay. Well, let's do that. Let's pull up. See what I can do here. Give me a second. Here, I'll let you guys watch this until I can pull it up.
States became, but we'll get it back. Okay, we're going to get that back. Okay, we're going to get it back. We're going to get it back quickly. The United States became the world's #1 energy superpower. We were doing a job like nobody's ever done before, a net exporter of energy. for the first time in 72 years, you know, the strategic, I don't know if you know, Federal Reserves, do you know what it's about? Where we're dumping, everybody was taken for years, 40, 50 years, they're taken out of they call it the strategic reserves. When we had the
that's two different, completely different things, but okay.
energy low, oh, there's my friend, she's so great. She's been with me right from the beginning. You take your time. Chris, you take your time.
He gets distracted when he has no idea what he's talking about. It's called the Federal Reserve Oil Time of the Bank Reserve. There's my friend. She's been with me for so long. How are you? It's good to see. We need a different strategy to the Fed Reserve because they're so reserved. You go into the room, you never see anything like it. Everyone is very quiet. They talk quietly. Nobody's mean.
That's Bikers for Trump. Does everyone know, Chris? Bikers for Trump. When Chris is there, you're safe, ma'am, but she's been our supporter for a long time. We love her, and thank you very much. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Chris. You know, the bikers, I don't know what it is with bikers, but I think I had 100% of their vote. And, you know, pretty much the same for law enforcement, the military, pretty much the same. But when I'd go to places in South Carolina and North Carolina and all over the place, I'd say, I feel very safe. We'd have sometimes 2,000, 3,000 bikers and Secret Service and all the law enforcement. They say, sir, I don't know if you're safe here. I say, I'm the safest guy in the world right here.
Soar? His name is Soar now? Soar, I don't know if you're safe here, Soar.
And they'd rev up those Harleys, you know. And the girlfriends on the back, they loved that sucker. They loved it. They loved it. Any guy went after that guy's girlfriend. Number one, didn't have a chance. Number two, he would have been in big trouble, right? He would have been in big trouble, but they were great.
Where's the scenario coming from? Did he think one of the girlfriends on the back of the Harley was hot?
Bikers for Trump, we love them. And they are tremendous people. You know, they're really patriots. They love our country. The Biden energy crisis and the Ukraine crisis are glaring reminders that America cannot be strong abroad if we are not first strong at home. And we are not strong at home. It's time to stop the bloodshed in our own cities. Look at what's going on in Chicago and New York and Los Angeles and Portland. I mean, Portland, they've taken over the place, the whole, it's ridiculous what's going on.
They haven't. That was 2 years ago under Trump. Portland's fine.
In Portland, but many other, all Democrat-run cities, all of them. You see some of these stats in Chicago where 8 people were shot this weekend and 4 died. And many more than that, and many worse stats than that. It's time to defend our own borders. And I'll tell you one thing, Henry McMaster, he doesn't have 8 people shot and people dying every weekend. It's time to protect our own sovereignty. It's time to secure our own elections. It's time to, by the way, it took me 2.5 years to get through all of the litigation and lawsuits on the border wall, and I won. I won 11 cases, and we won other. And we.
I can't find any news. I was just looking through Fox News. I can't find any news on the missile strikes in Iraq. So as that comes up, I'll try and keep an eye on it.
We had it done. 3 weeks away from finishing it, then we had an election result that everybody, or most people know, was a fake result, just like a fake news. And 3 weeks.
Just fact-checking that, it was not. It was certified by all 50 Democratic and Republican governors and all 50 Democratic and Republican secretaries of state. 100%. The election was certified not just by governors, but by secretaries of states as delegated through the different legislatures within the states, all 50 of them. It was certified. It was a real election.
But we did a tremendous job with the border wall, and it can be finished immediately. And that's when I knew that they actually wanted open borders, when they didn't want to go that extra 3 weeks.
Trump's border wall is a sieve. It has been chopped through 3,000 times.
to finish the wall.
You can saw right through it. This is a power tool.
But it had a tremendous impact. We had the safest border in the history of our country 1 year ago, and today we have the worst border in the history of our country. So
That's just not factual at all.
it's time to save our own nation from the people who are trying to destroy it. Under Biden, Pelosi, and the radical Democrats, we're losing our country.
Who are the Democrats? Are those like, it sounds like a group of forest creatures who are running a political party? We're the Democrators, and we hope someday to be presidents.
Different than if we had lost it in a war. If we had lost it in a war, you know, we have hundreds of thousands of people
We do have hundreds of thousands of people
dying to drugs that come over the southern border. Now, we did a tremendous job on the southern border. We had the best numbers we've ever had, and we've had the best drug numbers. We stopped drugs at a level that nobody had ever seen before.
That is not true. Drugs have been increasing massively, and we are now stopping more drugs than ever before. The CBP is stopping drugs in record numbers. They're stopping them.
And now they're coming in at a level that nobody has ever seen. When you
We are stopping them at a level that's never been seen.
have open borders, nobody's ever seen anything.
No, the borders aren't open. We know how many drugs are coming through because of the arrests and the seizures. Because the borders aren't open. If the borders were open, we'd have no idea.
Like it before. Millions of illegal aliens are rushing across our borders from all over the world. Criminals, gang members, drug traffickers, human smugglers.
I really hope they run on this for the midterms because America just doesn't buy it. Remember the caravans? That's how Trump, who came into office with the Senate, the House, and the presidency, lost the House and the Senate.
And people on terrorist watch
Well, eventually the Senate.
lists are stampeding right into our country. The Biden administration has spent months and months obsessing over how to stop an invasion of a foreign country. I believe Americans deserve a president who will stop the invasion into our country.
Again, Americans just don't really care about this issue. Because it's not really that big of an issue to most Americans.
And for all the talk about violent conflict in Eastern Europe, and it's a terrible thing, and we're going to help, and we're going to do whatever we can, because nobody can look at the bloodshed much longer, what's happening. It's a
What? What are we going to do? The hell is he saying?
Europe, and it's a terrible thing. Country.
I want to hear what he says here, because I was kind of distracted because I can see the moon. And it's up in the sky in the middle of the afternoon here in Hawaii. It's a beautiful place. Welcome to the broadcast. I'm your Kevinly father, Kevin Williams. We're broadcasting live from the Leaky Leaky Studios here in beautiful downtown Lahui.
And for all...
Here's my view, by the way. Please don't get on me. That's what I'm looking at right now. The ocean is back there somewhere. The moon is way in the distance. Palm trees waving in the breeze. How's the snow?
All the talk about violent conflict.
This guy sitting on a lanai somewhere on the Hawaiian Islands, and he's like, "Hey, please send me money through the Cash App." Nobody donates anymore. You guys have figured me out. I got here with Southwest points, and producer Jojo has done the kindness of putting us up here at this palatial estates.
In Eastern Europe, and it's a terrible thing, and we're going to help, and we're going to do whatever we can, because
How? What are you going to do?
nobody can look at the bloodshed much longer, what's happening. It's a lack of respect for a lot of people, a lot of things, but it's just...
The lack of respect has nothing to do with it. It's the brutal bloodshed caused by an insane dictator. This lack of respect.
It's a total lack of...
But again, to him, respect was the most important thing. The praise, the admiration, the respect, because he never had any of it growing up.
respect.
This is how a sociopath, this is how a narcissistic asshole talks.
And it happens to be a man that is just driven. He's driven to put it together. And you look at
just Putin's just driven. He's just driven to put it together.
it, and it's just
Putin really is a go-getter. Really, when it comes right down to it, Putin is just a guy who gets things done.
so ridiculous and so senseless and so horrible. And I say it again, and I'll say it again.
That is the worst thing he has ever dared to say about Putin. He's a guy who puts things together.
Again and again, it should have never happened. If he respected our president, it would have never, ever happened. But no one ever mentions the bloody and horrific war raging just across our border. They don't mention that the drug wars have killed hundreds of thousands of people throughout Latin America and hundreds of thousands of people in our country, massacring innocent people.
Massacring people, innocent people in Massachusetts in massive numbers. I used to go to Mass and pray about it.
People murdering judges and journalists, torturing and slaughtering hostages and burying victims in mass graves. Mass graves.
In massacre graves.
Now Joe Biden has thrown the gates open to these murderers, cartels, and thugs.
Oh, I hate the Smurters. The Smurters are the worst. Those are the evil Smurfs.
Thugs and bloodthirsty criminal gangs to flood into our country. Every day, the radical Democrats' open border policies are getting innocent Americans killed. We have
He's back to the teleprompter now.
Brandon Judd here. He's an incredible guy. And Tom Homan, who's an incredible. Tom Homan is central casting. That's the kind of guy they don't want to see. They don't want to see Brandon Judd. Where's Brandon Judd?
I've been with central casting and not that incredible.
What a job he does. Head of Border Patrol. What a job you do. And your people at ICE are incredible. These are brilliant, brave patriots. I wouldn't want their job, Brandon. I wouldn't want your job. You know, ICE will go into a pack. MS-13, probably the worst gangs are MS-13, but ICE will go up to them. They break into our country, and they'll charge them.
No, MS-13 is from this country. But yeah, it's also based in Honduras. There's quite a few of them. It's a Honduran game.
They kill people. They like using knives rather than
to cause more pain. Stabby, stabby. Yep, got it.
Guns because it's more painful.
Yeah.
They actually use knives to cut people up because it's more painful. ICE goes in there, then they just attack them, and they take them away, and they bring them out. They dump them the hell out of our country. And the other countries from where they came, they now...
Well, if they're knifey, stabby people, why wouldn't they be thrown in jail? If they're just going to dump them in the other country, why not fix the problem and put them in jail and keep them there?
Take them. They didn't used to take them. I said, why aren't they taking them? They said, sir, they just won't take them back. They don't want them to take them back. I said,
They don't want them to take them back?
How much money does the United States give to those countries? And they said, sir, about $742 million. Okay, stop it. As of now, we give them no money. The next day, I got a call from the president of those countries. Sir, we'd love to have
the president of those countries.
Have our members of MS-13 back in our country. Took about 2 minutes, but this was going on for years. They wouldn't take them back. Now they take them back, but I think that's going to be lost probably. Probably by now, Brandon, that's gone down the tubes just like everything else has gone down the tubes. Just last month, an illegal alien criminal was arrested in California.
and then another criminal alien was arrested in Massachusetts. And then somebody was taken away in New Mexico.
Good old California for horribly assaulting an officer. But under California's deadly sanctuary state law, the vicious criminal was released back into the community. Just 5 days later, he walked into a church and savagely murdered
a gentleman named Al Alaska, one of the great escapes, good old Alaska.
His 9, 10, and 13-year-old daughters and other people that happened to be in the church. We have dozens of countries emptying out their prisons into America. We're like a dumping ground for prisoners.
We are not, by the way.
And we're going to be living with this for many years to come. Remember what I said, including those flights from out of Afghanistan where people bum rushed the plane. And 97% of those people should not have been brought into our country.
Inaccurate. They were screened.
We're going to be paying a big price from what we took out and from the people that pour into our country for many years to come. You watch. And I made a lot of good predictions, and now saying Trump was right. I was right on the border. I was
Not sure who's saying that.
right on the pipeline. I was
Wrong on the pipeline.
right on Germany. I said to Angela Merkel, I said, Angela, I'm sending you the white flag. She said, but why are you sending me the white flag? I said, it's called the flag of surrender because you're getting your energy from Russia, and it's not good. Now, nobody knew it would happen this quickly, but who would have thought? To think that I shut the pipeline down and they opened it up immediately, it's just unthinkable. The open border left has turned our country into one giant sanctuary for dangerous criminal aliens. In the Republican Party, we believe that every inch of our country should be a sanctuary for law-abiding Americans, not for criminals. If you want chaos, if you want crime, if you want carnage, you must immediately vote for radical Democrats because they will give it to you. That's what they're doing. Look at every city that's run by the Democrats. If you want safety, security, and strength, vote for America First Republicans this November. But before we can defeat the Democrats, socialists, and communists at the ballot box this fall, we first have to defeat the rhinos and grandstanders in the primaries earlier this year. The rhinos, those rhinos are no good.
Those rhinos.
I don't know. In many ways, they're as bad as the Democrats and sometimes worse. We got plenty of rhinos in the party, but I must say far fewer than we had 4 or 5 years ago. Unfortunately for the patriots of South Carolina, you currently have 2 atrocious rhinos. They're bad people in the House who went to Washington, sold you out, and partnered.
By the way, these are just Republicans who've acknowledged that the election was legitimate. That's their crime. This is why Trump is there in North Carolina attacking these Republicans ahead of the primary.
With the Democrats to stab the Republican Party and, frankly, to stab our country in the back. Right here in the 7th Congressional District, Tom Rice, a disaster. He's respected by no one. He's laughed at in Washington. He was never thought highly of in Washington. And he was just censured by your great South Carolina GOP. Tom Rice joined the Democrats' deranged impeachment witch hunt hoax. It's all turned out to be a hoax. It's all turned out now to be a hoax. He parroted their lies. He gave aid and comfort to their weaponization of the national security state against the domestic political opponents. He voted for the unselect committee of highly partisan politicians that are running this horrible witch hunt in Washington. It's a witch hunt like nobody's ever seen before. But for me, it's okay because it's just a continuation of the fake witch hunt that's gone on for 4 years. And now Tom Rice looks like a total fool. He said, I didn't.
Yeah, he voted for impeachment after backing Trump on everything else. It was a shock to everybody, including maybe Tom Rice. But Tom Rice called it inexcusable, the insurrection.
Didn't know when I voted to impeach President Trump. I was committing political suicide. And, you know, that's exactly what happened, and hopefully it'll be true. In the 1st Congressional
He's in South Carolina, yeah. What did I say that was wrong?
District, you have another horrendous rhino.
Did I call it North Carolina? Well, first off, in my defense, too many Carolinas. Really? Really?
Known as Crazy Nancy Mace. 2 years ago.
Nancy Mace also had a questionable vandalism attack on her house by Antifa, who spray painted anarchy symbols on her sidewalk. For some reason, this was the claim.
She begged for my endorsement, and I pledged, and she pledged.
Yeah, Thor, I've heard that joke before.
To be America first.
It wasn't funny the first time. Did I call it North Carolina? Okay, he's in South Carolina.
all the way. She's going to be, I'm going to be America first. Instead, the first thing Nancy Mace did when she got to Washington was start attacking Republicans and hold a fundraiser for wacky Liz Cheney. Liz Cheney, it's another beauty. Liz Cheney, who's polling now at 12% in the great state of Wyoming, which was actually my #1 state. Does anyone know that? I got #1 state was Wyoming in terms of the vote.
He might actually be correct there. He won Wyoming by, I think, 43, something like that.
I hate to tell you, South Carolina.
It doesn't matter. I mean, there's nobody there, so he only got 3 electoral votes out of it.
But I did damn well with you,
It's
too.
the least populated state.
And Alabama.
Alabama.
You know, it's sort of interesting. We won South Carolina in a record. We won Alabama
Didn't.
in a record. But we lost Georgia just by a whisker.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen that way. It doesn't happen. When you win Alabama, Henry, and when you win South Carolina, Henry, you win Georgia by a lot also, Henry. Cheney joined the phony narrative about January 6th. She voted to hold Steve Bannon in contempt, which was terrible. She's totally manipulated by raging never-Trumpers and the radical left Democrats that are poisoning our country. She's a terrible person, and she has no idea what she's doing, Nancy Mace. Right after hearing I was going to endorse a really wonderful person, a different candidate, she went to New York and stood in front of the magnificent Trump Tower. Has anyone ever heard of Trump Tower? And did a commercial insinuating that I was endorsing her. She's standing over in front of Trump Tower in New York. I'm saying, can you believe this? It was untruthful, just like everything else she does. Thankfully, this June, you have the chance to dump these grandstanding losers and replace them with 2 rock-solid America First champions, Russell Fry. Russell, where's Russell? Russell Fry and Katie Arrington. Where are you? Come on up. Come up. Russell is a conservative warrior who will give no quarter to
We're going to skip this part with the candidates talking. Boring.
the Sano. Mr. Arts, she injured in an pain. She's
Earlier, 14th.
Round of applause. The reason they're screaming your name is you're the best damn president this country's ever had. Period. End of story. Nobody ges it any better. Be our
That's a terrible story.
number 47. You were our 46. Be our 47.
He was 45th, not 46.
That's all I gotta say.
And you're incorrect. He was 45th.
Thank you. I love you.
Thank you. I love you. She calls him her big daddy.
Thank you.
But then everyone is big to her.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Needlessly adjust the mic. Way up here, back and forth, back and forth. It's control issues. It's like 8 different chants going on right now. Some of them are saying we love Trump. Some of them are saying we want Trump.
Thank you very much.
Some of them are saying we love Trump.
In 2020,
Some of them are saying I love ribs. No, that's me.
120 of the 122 candidates that I endorsed in congressional primary elections won their election. And now we think we're going to be
That number is completely made up.
really, it's going to be incredible. You know, last week in Texas, 33 endorsements. We won 33 races. There are a couple of primaries. There are a couple of continuing primaries, but they're going to win. They're way ahead. They're going to win. So we view it as 33 out of 33. And I just got a 98% approval rating in the Republican Party. That's pretty good.
I just saw a poll that fewer than 50% of Republicans want him to run again. So hold on. Let me see if it would be Rasmussen is usually where he gets that from.
We got to get out and vote for those two. We got to put Nancy Mason. We got to put Tom Rice back where they came from. We're also joined by other great Republican leaders tonight, including your incredible governor and my friend. He was so loyal to me. I said, boy, this guy's incredible, and his unbelievable wife, Mr. and Mrs. Henry McMaster, Governor McMaster. Congratulations, Henry. Thank you. Thank you both. Thank you for...
Most recent poll I can find is from December, and that's Marquette University. 60% of Republicans want Trump to run again. That's a little bit short of 98%.
being here in this freezing...
Amongst all adults, again, here's the magic number. Amongst all adults, not just Republicans, 32% have a favorable opinion of him. That's been the way it is since day one. It's the way it still is today. And nothing will change those 33%, 32%.
Called. Thank you, Peggy, very much. Great job. Boy, they became great friends. Remember, I had the lieutenant governor. Other people had the governor, and the lieutenant governor won. So thank you very much. We'll never forget it, Henry. Also with us are Lieutenant Governor Pamela Yvette. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Pamela. Thank you very much. Attorney General Alan Wilson. Great family. Alan.
We'll skip by all the thank yous. Pointing.
Anything, teaching far left gender ideologies.
Okay, are we back?
With his lawless vaccine mandate.
Okay, here we're
As
back.
priority, what we take back Congress should be, and it will be, to pass a bill terminating every last federal COVID mandate. And on day one, we should force the Pentagon to rehire.
Like, I'm not even sure what mandates are really still in effect.
All the great service members.
Most of the mandates are state mandates, not federal.
Biden forced out of the military with his lawless vaccine mandates. With
The Supreme Court said they're lawful.
an apology and all back pay. In addition, a Republican Congress must stand up for parental rights and parental power.
Parental.
America's moms and dads should get a veto over everyone and anything teaching far left gender ideologies to their children without parental consent. And we should move quickly to pass the Republican bill to protect women's sports. You see the records
How are you going to solve the whole Ukraine thing, sir?
that are being broken? Swimming, 38 seconds. You know, is it a record that stood for 11 years? They'd break it by maybe 1/100th of a second. He broke it by 38 seconds.
This one guy ruining this for everything. Sorry, one girl ruining this for everything. One woman ruining it. It's a complicated issue, but honestly, should we really care that much?
The best, though, are the weightlifting records. You know, with one hand, boom, the record's broken.
That is not accurate.
It's ridiculous. Keep men out of women's sports. As president, I was proud to issue the world's first ban on critical race theory in September of 2020.
The world's first. He's bragging about it now.
Joe Biden rescinded that order, but as soon as we retake Congress, Republicans will ban critical race theory
They can't.
once and for all. They will also defund the racist equity mandates across the entire federal government. No more illegal discrimination in anything.
They can't defund that. It's not a thing. It's not a thing with funding.
Getting critical race theory out of our schools is not just a matter of values. It's also a matter of...
It's a matter of states' rights. Even if there were critical race theory classes in elementary school, high school, junior, there's not. But even if there were, Congress would have absolutely no power to abolish those. None.
National
That is a state issue.
survival. We have no choice. The fate of any nation ultimately depends upon the willingness of its citizens to lay down, and they must do
to lie down, and they must do that. And if they are told to haver, then they must haver and walk 5,000 miles to fall down at your door.
this, lay down their very lives to defend their country. If we allow the Marxists and communists and socialists to teach our children to hate America, there will be no one left to defend our flag or to protect our great country or its freedom. Just days ago, a poll found that if our country was invaded like Ukraine was invaded, a majority of Democrats stunningly admitted that they would not fight for America.
I did not see this poll. Does anybody know what he's talking about?
For the same reason, we have to get political correctness out of our military.
Because Democrats say they wouldn't fight? What?
The woke generals should be fired immediately. We want our generals to think about winning wars, not to teach pronouns. It's also far past time for big tech and to restore. Look at what big tech is doing, how dishonest they are.
What?
How dishonest and corrupt they are.
Yeah?
They are.
He's now part of big tech, by the way. He runs Truth Social. Or he doesn't really. He's just a figurehead. He's tweeted, as far as I know, twice. Truth Social has been active for what, like a month? 2 tweets. No one is there. Nobody reads him. Truth Social is so far a complete bomb.
Horrible for our country. We have to restore free speech in our country, and we will do it.
Yeah, no one's stopping it.
Just days ago, Google and YouTube censored my podcast with the Nelk Boys
Yeah, they did.
after it was watched by millions and millions of people, a record by many times in just less than 24 hours.
Not even close to Gangnam Style. It's a record for that podcast.
They took it down because I told the truth. These are sick people. We have to have in our country freedom of speech. We have to have freedom of speech. If we don't have freedom of speech, we don't have a country any longer. And finally,
I mean, that's technically not true. Many countries like Russia don't have freedom of speech, and they still have a country. So that's just nonsense. Everything is about losing the country. We're not going to have a country anymore. Hair on fire, Karen.
at all costs, we must defend the sacred integrity of our elections. Just last week, the special counsel investigating the 2020 election in Wisconsin, the state of Wisconsin, a highly respected
Wisconsin
former state Supreme Court justice, a great gentleman, announced that $8.8 million Mark Zuckerberg poured in.
It's not a special counsel, by the way. It's just one guy who used to be a judge who's a conspiracy theorist.
The local elections, quote, facially violates the Wisconsin law prohibiting election bribery. That's a pretty big judge. Be careful, Mark. The investigation revealed that 91 nursing homes, think of that, 91, thousands of people.
Okay, hold on. Let me think about 91. Got it.
In 5 counties had voter turnout rates of almost 100%, even though many of them were very ill. Some were
right, but they were allowed to vote without going to the polls. That's how it works. In fact, you yourself have advocated for very sick people to be able to vote remotely. That's fine.
Dying. Their families said, my mother never voted. This was just a disgrace, what took place in Wisconsin.
Well, I mean, they have the envelopes. That can be proven, and it hasn't been. So,
and it was a bombshell in Wisconsin. In addition to the explosive evidence gathered by True the Vote, showing a massive illegal ballot harvesting scheme in Georgia and other swing states, revealing thousands and thousands of ballot traffickers. They're known as mules. They go in, they carry.
No. What this is they have cell phone data. You can look at cell phone data. It's all anonymous. We don't know who these people are. But your cell phone data is available for sale. But no one knows it's you. But they can watch you go from this area to this area. Okay? And if you commute to work from San Diego to LA, every day your little cell phone blip that belongs to you, but you're not identified, goes from San Diego to Los Angeles for work. By the way, it's way too long. Get a job in San Diego. But what happened is on election day, they noticed that there were all these blips that kept going back to election and polling locations over and over again, right? Several times during election day. They were Lyft drivers and Uber drivers, and they were get out the vote drivers who were taking other people to the election polls to do their voting. But these people, these idiots, are too dumb. I figured this out in 10 seconds. Of course there's people making repeated trips. When Lyft is giving away free rides to the polls, people are going to take the free rides to the polls. Idiots. Cell phone data reveals.
Ballots. Every day there is more overwhelming evidence that the 2020 election, and by the way, it's even beyond the standpoint of evidence, there is so
Really? Beyond the standpoint of evidence.
much fact. It was corrupt.
So fact is different than evidence. Got it.
It was fraudulent and loaded up with irregularities. In other words, it was
Irregularities are not fraudulent. In other words, he's just going to say, he always says in other words, and he says the exact same thing.
rigged.
Oh, he actually did say another word.
So I ran twice. I won twice.
He ran 3 times. He lost twice.
And I did much better the second time than we did the first, getting 12 million more votes. And now we may have to run again.
And you could get 12 million more than that. You could still lose.
At the federal, state, and local level, Republicans must act to ensure universal voter ID, citizenship confirmation, no more drop boxes, no more
There's citizenship confirmation in every state, by the way.
private money paying for so-called help with the elections. And we must ensure that every election can be
That would be a violation of the First Amendment.
fully and quickly.
If you told people you're not allowed to help with elections, you're not allowed to help the old folks in the home and tell them how they can vote, that would be a violation of the First Amendment. That would be a direct violation. Congress cannot pass any laws restricting free speech.
Audited. The ultimate goal would be the same-day elections. Why can't we have same-day elections?
Well, for several reasons. Why should we make the fundamental right of Americans to cast a voice in this democracy? Why do we have to make it harder for them to do so? And there are many states, by the way, that it would be a monumental task and a huge waste of money to have only in-person voting.
With mail-in ballots only for the military and vote for those people who are very ill and cannot vote in person.
Like the people in Wisconsin.
Same-day elections. You can't have elections where ballots are sitting around.
By the way, he votes absentee. Trump does.
They sit around in storage areas for 20, 30.
He has for different elections, the primary last time around. And he has voted not on election day before. Most presidents wait.
40 days.
But going back in his previous voting record, there's been times where he voted not on election day.
Henry, because lots of bad things are happening to them as.
But yeah, let's make election day a national holiday. Let's put it on a Saturday or a Sunday. Make it easy for people.
Security guards are not doing their job. Our election was rigged, and we can never let this happen again, and we will continue to go forward, but we will also never, ever forget what happened, and we continue to look at this fraud, and things are happening on a daily basis like nobody would believe. It was a fraudulent election, and the proof is beyond anybody's wildest expectation.
There's literally no proof. Still, after all this time, more than a year later, there's no proof that the election was somehow rigged.
We are just 8 months away from what could be the most important midterm election in American history. Our country is at stake, and we need a landslide so big that the radical Democrats cannot rig or steal the election. Very much like the landslide we had. Nice swing you have. He's going, are you a golfer? What's your handicap? Huh? That's a nice looking swing. I'm proud of you. Very much like the landslide that we had in your state, in South Carolina. Very much. So to every patriot here today, I ask you to get ready to work, get ready to fight, get ready to win. And we're going to win like never before.
Because he never has.
We're going to win like never before. This is the year we are going to take back the House. We are going to take back the Senate. And
That he lost.
we are going to take back America. And in 2024, we are going to take back that beautiful, beautiful White House.
Again, is he announcing that he's running? Because he can't legally do that. Then all the money going to a super PAC completely changes. He loses that freedom to do with it whatever he wants. Right now, he's paying his own bills with it.
I wonder who will do that. I wonder. Together with your help, we will fight for more jobs for American families, fair trade for American workers, and more South Carolina factories forging more products stamped with that beautiful phrase,
South Carolina is for lovers.
made in the USA. We will shut down Joe Biden's border disaster. We will again end catch and release. We will end chain migration, and we will end visa lottery, and we will get that wall finished so fast your head
By the way, he had 4 years to do that, including 2 of them with the Republican Congress in both chambers, and didn't.
will spin. We will hold China accountable for unleashing the virus and charge
Never did before, in fact, praised them.
them trillions of dollars for the damage and suffering
How? How are you going to charge them? They're not even keeping to the deals that you said you negotiated with them.
they have caused. We will stop the Biden crime wave in our Democrat-run cities. We will crack down on violent criminals, and we will give our police officers, our law enforcement, we love them,
Our police offices?
our
We do love the offices. The ones with the glass doors up front, hopefully they're bulletproof.
100% support. We will pass critical reforms, making every executive branch employee fireable
So that he can fire Fauci.
by the President of the United States. The deep state must and will.
So therefore, every executive branch employee will become a political appointee, in essence. That's what he wants to do. So one man will be able to control the livelihood and the bureaucracy of every branch, not of every branch, of every department in the executive branch, of tens of thousands of employees.
Be brought to heel. It's already happening.
And for the most part, that's what happened. Trump had people running around finding out who was loyal and who was disloyal to Trump, and people were fired.
We will
Civil servants who'd given their entire life to this country, fired.
protect innocent.
It's a huge story that didn't go anywhere. Didn't get any traction because so much other stuff was happening at the time. But I think the Post or Political uncovered it. It was, it should have been the lead story.
Life. We will defend our Constitution, and we will defend the Second Amendment. We will proudly uphold the Judeo-Christian values and principles of our nation's founding. We will restore patriotic. We will proudly uphold the
Upheld?
Christian values and principles of our nation's founding. We will restore patriotic education to our schools. We will teach our children to love their country, honor our history, and to always respect our great American flag.
Oh, he's not going to have Cruz as his running mate. He will have somebody who's milquetoast. There's absolutely no way that a dictator like Trump puts in somebody with any power next to him.
And in conclusion, our MAGA movement is by far the greatest political movement in the history of our country.
Well, I mean, you lost, so.
Together, we are standing up against some of the most sinister forces, entrenched interests, and vicious opponents our people have ever seen. But no matter how big or powerful these corrupt radicals may be, you must never forget this nation does not belong to them. This nation belongs to you. This is your home. This is your heritage. And our American liberty is your God-given right.
Yeah, Ted Cruz was born in Calgary.
It was patriots like you who built this country, and it's patriots like you who are going to save our country.
Well, actually, this country was originally built by people that were British and then treasonous. So, country not built by patriots.
This is a very, very critical time. Our country has never been in trouble like it is right now. In
what way?
More than a year, they have gone on to almost destroy our country. But
I'm looking around, and I know I've only been to this location a couple of times, but I'm not seeing anything destroyed. Well, some leaves came off that tree over there, and there's a hibiscus on the ground, like just a few of the petals. Yeah, I think we're mostly good.
The key word is almost. We're not going to let it happen. And together we will make a more exceptional country than ever before. There is no...
Make America more exceptional than ever before. Put that on a hat.
No mountain we cannot climb. There is no summit we cannot reach.
Ain't no river wide enough.
There is no challenge we cannot meet. There is no victory we cannot have because...
Except winning the election.
Just like generations before.
He did. He promised to go away forever. We would never hear from him again. He did that 3 times. At least 3 times. He promised he would go away and be gone.
For us, American faith is lifting our souls. American pride is beating our hearts. And pure,
American pride is beating our hearts?
Unflinching courage is coursing through our hearts. And pure, unflinching courage is coursing through our veins.
God, the more tired he gets, the worse he gets at reading.
A beautiful, beautiful blood, red, white, and blue. We will not bend.
Like Russia.
We will not break. We will not yield. We will never give in. We will never give up. We will never, ever back down.
Well, you lost.
As long as we are confident and united, the tyrants we are fighting do not stand a chance of winning.
What tyrants again?
Winning. Because we are Americans, and Americans kneel to God and kneel to God alone.
Well, they have the choice not to as well.
My fellow citizens, this incredible journey we are on together has only just begun.
Oh, God.
And it is time to start talking about greatness for our country again. Our country will be great again. We are one...
What conviction? Our country will be great again. Oh, God.
Movement. We are one people, one family, and one glorious American nation under God. Together we are...
We make America smart again. We make America wealthy again.
Unstoppable. Together
we are unstoppable.
We are unbeatable. And together our ultimate victory is inevitable.
What's the ultimate victory? What are we even talking about here?
And so with the help of everyone here today, and it's such an honor to be with you, even though we're all very cold out here. And with the commitment of hardworking, freedom-loving patriots across this magnificent land, we will...
It's only, I don't even know what time it is here in Hawaii. I don't even know what decade it is here in Hawaii. It's 3:46. I'm ready for bed after watching this guy. I can hear the people yawning inside. That's probably my coverage.
will make America powerful again. We will make
America wealthy again.
wealthy again.
Yes. Strong.
We will make America strong again.
No, not safe yet. I don't know. Let's see what he says.
We will make America proud
Proud. Now safe. Do safe. Do safe.
again.
Yeah.
We will make America safe again.
Yes. And what about
And
great?
we
Will make America
great
again. At least he's not predictable.
God bless you. Thank you, South Carolina. We love you. Thank you.
And that's that, kids. My God. I don't know why we watch this, quite frankly. I'm not sure what we're doing. I don't know what I'm doing with my life. Ridic. Okay, kids. It is Hawaii. I feel like I should be doing something Hawaii related. So I just want to do that. And you guys have a wonderful day. I think the broadcast worked. Holy crap. We only dropped 66%. 66. We dropped 56 frames. So thanks to the Leaky Studios, the broadcast appears to be working. And I'll try and broadcast throughout the week. So we'll spend more time with you later. Be good to each other. Have a great night tonight. And as they say in Hawaii, I got it at the Walmart.